Welcome to Stream Conscious Podcast. I am Joel. I love cartoons, Cox. And this is my partner, Joe. Also loves cartoons, Stout.
Really stretching on that one.
Yeah, you know. I kind of just didn't think about it.
It's too early in the day for it. I get it. That's fine. That's fair. We're going to talk about. You want to talk about cartoons?
Yeah.
All right.
So, you saw Cars 3.
I did. I saw Cars 3. I was not super impressed with Cars 3. I didn't think that it was really... The movie itself was... It seemed like it was scripted towards adults, but directed towards children. So, everybody gets to not enjoy it. That's the way I felt about it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. Because I listened to a bunch of podcasts, and they were mentioning how it's all about, like... It's basically a midlife crisis of, do I keep doing what I'm doing, or do I retire and teach?
It was. The first movie I thought was really good. I think the first movie really knocked it out of the park, and that made expectations for it so much higher. And then we kind of talked about this before. We sort of touched base on it. I didn't. The second one
was garbage.
No, it wasn't bad. It was just very different than the first one. It was more like kid oriented.
I feel
the
like
storyline wasn't there.
I feel like they went to the focus group and then decided, okay, this is they know what we're talking about. Changed everything, and then found out it was wrong.
They focused it more towards like the Mater character instead of Lightning McQueen, and that was like that threw a lot of that. I think had something to do with at the time Owen Wilson had went through like some major life crisis, and he had I think tried to commit suicide around about that time, and so I think that's probably why they kind of geared away from his character a lot more. He was still in it, obviously. You can't have Cars without Lightning McQueen, but they kind of put it towards Mater. But this one, they went back to, really, there was almost no, Larry the Cable Guy who played Mater, he was hardly in the movie at all. Like, it really wasn't about him even a little bit. They kind of really pulled it back towards Lightning McQueen. But the story itself was not, it was like, it danced this really fine line where it could have been a really good story, and it really could have been great directing, but it wasn't either one of those things. They just did neither instead of doing both.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it's just like it's been going on for a while of, hey, let's make this movie for kids, but let's make it for adults. And I think the first movie to do that was Shrek.
Well, Shrek stayed good, though. Shrek, I felt like...
Yeah, but that's when they did multiple levels of... There's jokes the kids aren't going to get,
right? But
there's jokes the kids are going to get, and the adults are still going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and it was animated and fun enough that the kids got into it, but it wasn't raunchy necessarily, but it wasn't it wasn't really the story. It wasn't just solely focused on the kids, and I think that they did a really good job on Shrek. But even like if you watch the following Shreks, and there's a lot of Shrek cartoons, movies, they all sort of stayed well. Even if they weren't great, they were still good. They were still well written, and they stayed on the same focus where they said, okay, let's make a movie that is for the kids, but also is for the adults. Because they knew that the adults have to take the kids to go see the movie, so might as well keep them entertained, and they did an awesome job on it. I think Cars did that in the first movie, but it didn't do that in the following movies. But a lot of the kids' movies now, even if they're focused towards kid, they try to throw in some adult humor to them, and they do a few more penis and fart jokes and stuff that weren't in kids' movies prior to that.
Yeah, Tara and Kristen saw that Boss Baby thing.
I wasn't impressed by that either. That was one I hardly focused. I really didn't watch a lot of that.
They told me it was basically they had some jokes that were so inappropriate in there that they shouldn't have been there.
There were some that were like, there was a few that were just like, it was borderline too raunchy almost. But it was one of those things where it's awkward because if you're watching a movie with your kids, it was shy enough that it wasn't super obvious, but it was kind of also super obvious. Like you don't want to. If you point it out, then it's almost like you feel like you're the bad guy for noticing it. Like you feel like you're in the wrong for saying, "Oh, this is inappropriate," where it could be interpreted multiple ways. There was some kind of play on words and some fun they did with it, but even that was not a great story either. Like it really was not a great movie.
I refuse to see it because I watch a lot of trailers.
Okay.
And there's some trailers I'll see over and over again. Oh, that's cool. Like I will stop everything I'm doing. Like I remember when Triple X, not State of the Union, Triple X,
Yes.
the last movie came out.
Uh-huh.
I'd go through and they'd have an actual YouTube commercial of that trailer. I'm like, I'll actually sit here and watch this.
Because it's Triple X. We love Triple X.
Because I want the algorithm to know this is the kind of stuff that you need to show me so that I can be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I see some of these trailers over and over again for stuff I don't want to see, and it just makes me want to see it even more. And plus, there's so many trailers on YouTube now. They do this thing now where like a trailer will come out, and then they'll keep adding the new trailer in the beginning, and then we'll put all the old trailers behind it. So like you'll see trailers for movies that are like 5-10 minutes because they have all the other trailers in them.
Same movie, just to keep adding on.
So if it's a movie I want to see, I'll watch all the trailers. But like if I watch the new one, I'll watch the new clip and move on. But like I'll see more stuff of the movie. I'm like, I still don't want to see this.
There's a lot of movies I haven't seen much of any movies. Like all the movies I want to see, I haven't got to see because of the whole cartoon thing. Like it takes us back to that. Every time I get a chance to go out and see a movie, it's always let's go watch something that my kids want to watch. Like I can't go out and see a movie that I want to watch.
Yeah.
I wanted to go see I still have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2. How long has that been out? Like forever now, and I have not got the chance to go see it. It's going to be out of the theaters soon. It's already out of some theaters.
Yeah.
If not all theaters. I have not seen that. I still haven't got a chance to see, although it just came out, but I know it's going to be forever. If I even get to see it, I probably won't catch it until video, is the new Spider-Man movie. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the new Spider-Man movie?
We actually saw it.
Have you seen it? Is it as good? Well, compared from Tobey Maguire
first off,
Spider-Man.
let me go through the gamut.
Okay.
I saw the first Spider-Man. I was like, yeah, this is okay. Spider-Man is not...
When you say the first Spider-Man, you mean the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
The first movie that came out.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of Spider-Man. I put Spider-Man in the same category as Superman as he's portrayed because he's a whiny...
No.
Because they usually make him whiny.
That's what I love. Not whiny. I don't see him as whiny. I see him as he's a character who's flawed. He's faulted, and that's what I like about him.
There's flaws, and then there's, oh my god, someone killed this guy right now.
See, no, I like Spider-Man because of all of the ridiculous... Like, Spider-Man has real-world problems. For a superhero, his problems aren't always just, like, the villain. Like, sometimes his problem... There's a whole comic where I think he just has a cold. Like, he still has to fight crime and everything. Yeah. But, like,
see, I get that.
He sneezes into his mask.
But in the movies, like, the movies always portray... Like, I probably need to read the comics. I like them more. I remember when I was in middle school, there was a Spider-Man 2099 that came out, and I thought that was amazing because basically it was the future, and this guy was like a drug addict or something. He worked. I forget the storyline, but basically he was a drug addict, and he got like the Spider-Man superpowers, and like he wasn't like a whiny kid. He was like some like 20-year-old something, and he started fighting crime. It's kind of cool.
Okay,
but like
I never really got into the. Because there's a lot of different
there's so many
Spider-Man.
There's so many flavors.
The 2099 and all that stuff. That was one of my ones.
Getting back to what I was trying to say. At first, I saw the first Spider-Man. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Saw the second one. Was not impressed. Third movie, I'm like, screw this. I'm reading the Wikipedia entry. And when I read the Wikipedia entry, I read about the emo dance step that he had. Like when he got all like dark. Like he gave up on like being Spider-Man for that.
Oh, you're still talking the whole Tobey Maguire series. Okay, I thought you moved on to the Garfield.
No, not yet.
Holland.
And I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. I hate Spider-Man even more now.
Yeah, that was bad.
And then the new ones came out with, what was his name?
Garfield. Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. I love those. Those are amazing. I love the first one. I love the second one. The reason I love the second one, spoiler alert, skip forward 30 seconds if you guys don't want to know this, Mary Jane dies. You know how she dies?
Just like she did in comic books.
Gravity. He stopped her.
Yes.
But gravity killed her.
I hope nobody's seen it. Well, I hope everybody has already seen it.
I just said spoiler alert. Fast forward.
All right, well, hopefully they have time to. But that's kind of an influential part of the movie. But yes, you're right. And
that Spider-Man I love. That was amazing. They did not have to do a reboot. I didn't think.
I agree. Well, and here's the thing: is the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, that storyline still to me is the best written storyline for a Spider-Man yet. It is the most honest, the most candid, and the one that I think personally I feel sticks to the original the best. And every time you make a movie, you always, if you're making a movie out of a comic book, you have to take some liberties and change the story. You have to change it up somewhat, partly because you don't want to tell the same story over and
Yeah.
over and over again. People already know that story. You don't need. There's no reason
Well, in the new one, they glance over how he gets his powers. Even when she gets bitten by a spider, they don't
I'm
spend...
glad they do, and here's why. Because how many times in all these movies, like you watch Batman, in every Batman movie, you got to watch him go through the death of his parents.
Uh-huh.
In every Spider-Man movie, you got to watch him get bit by the spider.
The
and
one
get his powers.
podcast I
And
listen to, their joke was the new Spider-Man, but how does he get his powers? We don't know this.
yeah, it's been established. If you don't know how Spider-Man got his powers by this point, you're just out of you're gonna enjoy this movie anyways. You're just too far out of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen the new one yet, but I kind of
Yeah.
knowing this, I'm glad that they do skip over that because I don't need to know. We already know that Superman
Yeah.
came from another planet. We know that
Yeah.
Batman lost his parents.
Mhm.
We know that Spider-Man got bit
Yeah.
by a spider.
All
There's
of
certain definitives that you just know about
Yeah.
certain characters. They're just
All I'm
handy.
gonna say, I'm not gonna spoil anything for this new one. There's a lot of teenage awkwardness, and
See, I kind of like that because
Well,
that to me speaks Spider-Man.
parts of it I hated, but I liked at the same time. Like I was conflicted, and there's a great plot twist
Right.
in there. But that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, and that's as adults now, like for us to look back at those juvenile issues that we had back whenever we were in our teens and stuff. To look at that now, they just seem and sound so stupid. Like
Yeah.
in real, and I don't know because I haven't seen and I don't know what he's dealing with in the movie and how much I'll relate to
Well,
and how much I won't.
Prime example, our friend Kirsten, she has four cousins from her one uncle, and about 2007, I started working in the middle school. Her cousins started going through the middle school, so the one cousin hated me because I used to check all the computers I'm working, do different stuff in the labs. Well, the one lab, some kids messing with the computer, so I saw who was logged in. Went down to the lab to yell at this kid.
It was her cousin that was.
It wasn't. It was her cousin was sitting at the computer, but he wasn't logged in. So I asked him if he was this kid. He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, and I reamed him out. And after that,
Did you know this was her cousin at the time?
No.
Oh, okay.
But the thing was, he answered somebody else's name, so I reamed him out. So for a long time, he hated me. And then when Tara and I started dating, I started going down to his house. He's like, "I don't like Mr. Cox. I don't like Mr. Cox." And then so I don't know how it happened. I think it might have been Fallout. He's like, "Oh, you like Fallout?" I'm like, "Yeah." We started talking. Like, kid loves me now.
I want to talk about Assassin's Creed later. I finally watched that movie, but I want to go back to Spider-Man first
Yeah.
because okay, so here's my breakdown of because I have seen it was Tobey Maguire, then Andrew Garfield, and then this new kid Tom Holland. I
Yeah.
believe his name Tom Holland.
He's a Brito.
And yeah, which I didn't know that. I saw. I mean, I didn't realize he was until after I had seen him in Civil War, Captain America: Civil War. So, starting with Tobey Maguire, I hate Tobey Maguire with a passion. I don't know why. I just cannot stand him as an actor. I think he's a terrible actor. But he was really well cast as Spider-Man. He's a Seabiscuit. Are you looking to see what he's in?
Yep.
Yeah, he's in all kinds of. He was in Seabiscuit. He was in what's the one with Michael Caine? It's a real big one. The something. The orange cat. The cat. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But either way, so can't stand him as an actor. I thought that as far as the script
I
goes,
always get him and the
Topher Grace.
No, him and the guy from The Hobbit confused.
Who's the guy from The Hobbit?
Which
Which one? The one who plays Sam or
the one who plays Bill.
Bilbo Baggins?
Yeah.
What
Elijah
is his
Wood.
name? Elijah Wood. You get Tobey Maguire and Elijah Wood mixed up? Okay. I don't see that at all, but
So,
I get Elijah Wood mixed up with Daniel Radcliffe sometimes. Yeah, that's one that I get.
we all have our Achilles heels.
So
He's been in 46 things.
and it's been terrible in probably 45 of them.
Let's go through. The Boss Baby, Adult Tim Narrator, Pawn Sacrifice, The Spoils of Babylon, Labor Day, The Great Gatsby. I like The Great Gatsby. He's actually cast really good for Great Gatsby, I thought.
I can't remember if I saw The Great Gatsby or not.
But you read the book in high school, probably.
Yeah, well,
And
we
you
were
don't-
supposed to read the book in high
And
school.
you don't remember it.
Yeah, come on, you knew me in college,
Yeah.
dude. You ever seen me read a book?
The only thing I remember about the book of The Great Gatsby was they had all these parties, and the one party is a dog, like, sitting on a couch, staring through smoke. And I was like, what happened to the dog? What happened to the dog? They never talk about the dog
You
anymore.
don't care about the people, you just care about the dog.
Yep. See, Brothers, Beyond All Boundaries, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 3 the video game, The Good German, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man the video game, Seabiscuit, Spider-Man.
Oh my god, are we going through all of them? We're going through all 46? You are.
Don't Plum, Wonder Boys. Well, like...
You can IMDb the rest.
Yeah, I'm looking through.
So he's done a
Holy
lot
crap,
of
he was
movies.
a hitchhiker in Fear in Las Vegas.
Oh, was he? Oh, yeah, that's right. In the very beginning. This is Spot Country. Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah, like...
They pick him up.
He's not been in... I've not seen him in many things other than Spider-Man.
Yeah, he hasn't done... But the stuff that he is in...
Roseanne.
Cider House Rules. That's the name of the movie I was trying to remember.
Oh, crap.
What?
He was in Jake and the Fat Man.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
What was he, 2 at the time?
Terry Fitzroy.
He was in one episode of Jake and the Fat Man.
Yes, he was. Let's see, how old is he?
I don't think he's a great actor. I don't
No.
like him. But he was well cast as
Okay.
Spider-Man, even though he kind of sucked
He's
as
born in
Spider-Man.
75.
And he said, really?
Yeah, he's 42.
Well, I guess if you look at like Spider-Man stuff, that was what, 10 years ago or something crazy.
15?
15 years ago. It's been
Yeah.
that long.
Uh-huh.
I like Andrew Garfield.
Walker, Texas Rangers?
Who cares? I've already given up on this.
I'm not.
Okay. And what did you think about Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man? As far as like his acting ability.
I thought he was good.
I liked him a lot as the character. I thought the script sucked for those ones. They were not well written scripts. Bringing Mary Jane in was a big deal because Mary Jane was like, she's the one that everybody remembers from the comic books. If you ask anybody who even like people who didn't read the comic books, anybody who's even kind of sort of in that nerddom will tell you that if you ask them who Spider-Man's girlfriend was, they'll tell you Mary Jane.
Yeah, but you also have to remember Kristen Dunst kind of screwed that up too.
Yes, but like the original one was Betty Brant, and then there was a couple other ones that led up before Mary Jane actually got into the picture. There was a few of them.
How
But
clean
she's-
is that photo?
That's you just switched. Are you talking about the William Dafoe? William Dafoe as the Green Goblin was great. The costume itself sucked.
Yeah.
That was so bad. They did
It was
a terrible job.
It was
of
like 1997 Batman bad.
that. Right. Oh, it was bad.
That one.
When he grabs the kid's arm and they're
Uh-huh.
fighting in the... There was a lot of great action in it. I thought it was a
Yeah.
good movie. I didn't like the second or the third one with Tobey Maguire.
Mhm.
So, script-wise, the first one was the best one. Acting-wise, Andrew Garfield's still my favorite, although everybody tells me once you see Homecoming,
Mhm.
Tom Holland's going to be your new favorite Spider-Man, because apparently he does a really great job on it. But I don't like the costume I don't like this new costume. I don't like the one... I know the original Spider-Man had the webs underneath the arm, like that kind of like that cape look thing. Not cape, but you know what I mean, like the
Flying
web...
squirrel.
What is it?
Flying squirrel.
Yeah, the flying squirrel arms. He had the flying squirrel web underneath the arms, and the original comic book had it, but that went away pretty quickly. Like it was only a little bit into once Spider-Man actually got some popularity, that went away. I don't like the costume with that in, and I think this new costume with the Tom Holland one, not only do I not like that, but the overall look of the costume is just a little too... They tried to update it too much. Like, Spider-Man, I don't want to see Spider-Man in too technologically advanced of a suit. I'm fine with the eyes being able to open and close. That was cool by me. Because that's the way it is in the comic books. That gives him some facial expression, so I like that. But I didn't want them to go... That was pushing it for me. There shouldn't be anything above and beyond that. I didn't need more. I don't need his costume to be all technologically advanced.
Well, I do, so.
And here's the other thing too: the web that came out of his hand in the first movie. It actually it actually comes out of his hand. Now in the comic book, he builds a device that goes on his wrist.
I know there's two schools of
But,
thought.
well, there was one version of the comic book where it's like a bio web or something, I guess they call it, where it does actually come out of his hand. And I like that they took that liberty into that and chose that for the first movie.
Mhm.
I like that better. I don't like the whole build the machine thing. Like that was a little too stretch of the imagination for me. So, what's your school's of thoughts on that one?
Well, I remember correctly, Tobey Maguire is also a vegan or vegetarian. And I guess in the comics, where he had the organic web, he shot out of his hands,
Mhm.
he had to eat a lot of protein. And they scrapped that for him, if I remember, in the first movie. I might be wrong, but for some reason I remember that piece of trivia.
No kidding.
But
He's either vegan or
I kinda
I think
like
he's vegan.
I like the technological thing because it shows that he's smart. Like him and Tony Stark work together.
Yeah.
And like Tara and I and Kristen went to see that Marvel show they did down at the at the arena. It was kind of like a.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah,
It was like a children's thing, but you know what? I'm a big kid. I don't care. I got to watch Superman. No,
not Superman.
wrong. I got to watch Iron Man, Spider-Man, the Hulk, Wolverine,
Thor.
and a bunch of the X-Men like fight crime together. It was awesome.
I saw a little clip video of that, but I didn't actually see
Yeah,
it.
it was really cool. We actually did the quote expensive seats, and it was a lot of fun. But the point is, like, even in the I guess in a lot of the comic books, there's a string where Tony and him get together and they work together, and like.
Okay, and yeah, and in the comic book too, he idolizes
Tony Stark.
Iron Man, Tony Stark. He does,
And he builds all this stuff. And the cool thing was he did like a lot of stuff he built was out of crap he found in the dumpsters and stuff.
Okay.
So he was like a scavenger and he was smart. So that was to me that's what was a bonus point.
I like that, but I don't think that. Until I see this one, I don't know, but I don't think it's been done right in a movie yet. I don't think they've really kind of established, and that's kind of why I like what they did with the first one, where they made it like this organic web that came out of his arm, because then it gave it the opportunity to not have to really get into all of that, because you only have an hour and a half to make a movie. You have to fit in all of the storyline,
Not anymore.
give or take.
Now it's 2.5 to 3 hours.
Movies used to be longer. There was a whole like if you go back to like even like the 80s and then before, movies were 2.5 hours. Like you
See,
look
I
like,
don't remember that. I remember them all being.
a lot of movies were longer movies. If you look back, like
I'll look at my favorites. Most of the ones I remember were an hour and a half to 2 hours. Going over 2 hours is crazy. And then our friend.
you look at old black and white
Peter
movies, you look
Jackson.
at like the old Rat Pack movies, the old.
But were those movies or were those like musicals? Like were they singing?
no,
and dancing?
well, I mean some. Well, like if you
Because-
like some of the Rat Pack ones were.
Because if you're looking, some of those older movies aren't really movies; they're more like,
they're like plays.
they're like plays or
musicals that are
musicals.
filmed. Yeah.
so of course those are going to be.
Well,
longer.
that's because that's just the evolution of
Yeah.
cinema.
What I'm saying though is, plays tend to be longer than an hour and a half. They usually get and they have an intermission because they're so long. That I understand. But like back in the days when we were making these cheesy movies, they're like an hour and a half, 2 hours max. Like I don't remember a lot of 2.5 hour movies.
Well, starting around about the 80s is whenever they really started pushing movies a little bit longer. And like all of my favorite movies, all of the best movies are longer movies. You look at Armageddon, I think was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
When you get into Castaway was I can't remember how long, but a long movie. What's the one with Ben Affleck? The Pearl Harbor
Mhm.
was a longer movie. I can't remember how long Good Will Hunting was, but I believe that was like close to 2 hours. So that's one of those things, like the good movie. But yeah, they are building movies to be a little bit longer now. We're getting back up to that where they're realizing to put enough sustenance into a movie for you to really get a great story out of
According
it.
to this,
They have to put that length of time into it.
according to this, the length of feature films
Okay,
by the numbers.
is it saying I'm a liar?
Not exactly. In 1910, they were.
Oh, well, back in 1910, that was when you had
yeah.
like black
They were-
silent
they
movies,
were on
like
Sitting 5
Chaplin and
Minutes.
stuff.
Around 1920s, they jumped up to 97 minutes.
Okay, so where's this one where they start getting longer? What's that?
I'm giving some background for our audio listeners.
Oh, okay, go ahead. No, you build your way up slowly to it.
1930s, we've dropped down to around under 97 minutes.
I can hardly contain myself.
Exactly. In 1940s, it was 105 minutes or more. 1950s, 112 minutes. 1960s.
Okay, so now 1960 is probably right about whenever movies started becoming like truly legitimate
Yeah.
movies with like full out storylines. Now, if you look like like in the 50s, when was Gone with the Wind and things like that. We'll come back to that. We'll take a look at that. But those are probably one of the very few pioneer movies. What's the one? Stella, not Stella, but Streetcar Named Desire. Streetcar Named Desire, Gone with the Wind. Those are older movies that were
Gone with the Wind,
legitimate
1939.
movies. Okay, so wow, even before I thought.
Streetcar
Named Desire was another, like, that was one of the early on.
1951.
Okay, so like those were early on like movies, and those are probably both longer movies. I don't know the length on either one of them, but they're.
Well, Streetcar Named Desire is. By the way, Dave, I'm sorry for another movie episode.
Is Dave tired of hearing us talk about
He
movies?
doesn't go to a lot of movies, but
Let's talk about what Dave wants to talk about.
Dave doesn't mind us talking about movies. It's just he can relate more when we don't talk about movies.
All
But
right, fine.
I don't
You know
care.
what?
We're doing
Suck it up, Dave.
122 for Streetcar Named Desire.
You probably ruined Spider-Man 2
No, I didn't.
for Dave. He probably hasn't seen it yet.
There's a statute of limitations. That's over
How long
10
was
years.
Streetcar Named Desire?
An hour, 2 hours and 2 minutes.
2 hours to okay, so like that's what I'm saying. It's like movies back then, and now maybe it was just the ones that I remember. Maybe like if you look at Duck Soup and you look at the Ocean's 11. Have you ever seen the original Ocean's 11?
I want to see the original. Just
It is
just like I wanna see-
unbearable. It is horrible to sit through.
Oh my God! Gone with the Wind. 3 hours and 58 minutes.
See, okay, that's a long movie. That's how long movies used to run. Maybe I'm just basing it off of that. Okay, so we left off at what 1950,
1960s.
1960s, where movies really started becoming like
127 and a
legitimate.
half minutes.
What is it? 100 and what?
127. That's about 2 hours.
Okay.
So then 1970s, about the same. 1980s, above 100, above 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Really?
90s dropped down under 2 hours, and in 2000s was above 127.
See, I thought it would have dropped a lot more in the 90s and the 2000s.
I feel like in the late 90s, when Peter Jackson started doing the Lord of the Rings and started making 3-hour movies out of books.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second, because that is... I hate that. Peter Jackson is an a-hole for that. Listen, he was the first one that I can remember that he made... Like, okay, like if you look at like Star Wars, they got to the end of Star Wars, but it was the end of the movie. Like the movie was over, and yes, Vader got away, and you knew there was going to be more to come, and they treated it as if there was additional storyline to happen, and that's fine. And there's other movies that I think are probably along that. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but there are movies that you get to the end of the movie, and the movie's not necessarily over, it's just kind of like to be continued. Back to the Future was another one. They even say at the end of the movie, I believe in the very first movie, at the end of it, they say to be continued. So like you know there's going to be more, but you got an ending to a movie. And Peter Jackson was the first one to kind of get like, he got a third of the way through his movie, and then he just stopped. Like, he just went like, that's it. That's all you get. You didn't get any kind of completion of... there was no end of story. There was no climax to it. There was no... You didn't get that crescendo. All you got was, like, hitting the pause button. And whenever he pulled that crap and he got away with it, then they did it. Michael Bay... And you know I hate Michael Bay. He's one of my free kills whenever they make it legal. Michael Bay did it with... not the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, because that movie was awesome, but the second one. The second one you got in 2 parts. The second movie was like you're just going along, and all of a sudden, Captain Jack Sparrow gets eaten by a giant octopus, and then the movie's over.
So that's
the end of it.
So let me ask you this:
No, I just need a moment to swallow this, because now I'm all worked up about it again, because screw Michael Bay. Did Michael Bay do the second movie? You have to check that one out for me, because if I haven't hated Michael Bay over that one forever.
Did Michael Bay do Pirates?
Yeah, he did Pirates of the Caribbean, didn't he? Oh, he's messed up so many things that I hate him for. I love the first Pirates of the Caribbean, and we had a discussion. He's done a lot of things that I do like Bad Boys and Pirates of the Caribbean 1. And I liked all the Pirates of the Caribbean movie together, collectively, but the first one was good by itself. After that, they kind of really went downhill.
He did
They
not
changed.
do Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, he did.
He wasn't the director.
Well, maybe he was the producer then.
Well, then the producer doesn't have as much power.
Well, either way, I hate him, and you're not taking that away from me.
Well, you can hate him all you want, because I hate Ubull.
You hate who?
Ubull.
Who's Ubull?
I don't know how to pronounce it. It's UWE space BOLL. This jackwagon will take video game properties and make crappy movies in Germany. Because if you make a movie in Germany, you get 50% of your money back that you spend there on movies. So he makes crappy movies. He's done now. He's opening some kind of restaurant. Who cares? Don't. He's another guy.
That's a business move.
No, he's a guy that wouldn't mind waking up in a bathtub full of ice, missing 2 kidneys with a note saying you're gonna die. But getting back to my original question. So there are 180 minutes in each of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Okay.
Which makes it into a lot of minutes.
Right.
So if I made those into 90-minute movies, there'd be 6 movies instead of 3. And you'd have more cut-offs.
I'm not okay with that either. And here's the thing, is I think some of the movie...
Do you realize that the books are huge?
No, and I get that. But I feel like the movies themselves could have left a lot on the editing room floor. It's been a while since I've seen them, and I don't recall
Well,
ever
the thing
sitting
is,
through all
because
of them.
I've listened to the audiobooks for Lord of the Rings. I did that, like, I think the first time, before the first one came out, I got through half the book on audiobook, and I saw the movie. And half the book got me through the first 45 minutes of the movie. Like this, it's weird how there's this spatial thing where certain parts are really
Right.
short and other
And then
parts
they
are really long.
lengthen other parts of it to kind of... Well, and I think that some of that is just them
There's just so
filling
much
time.
The
But
problem
I
is,
think that's what they did. I think they filled a lot of time.
actually, the problem is there's so much content. It's hard to figure out what to put into a movie,
Right.
which is why some of these movies should just be miniseries and not.
Now that would be good, and because there's been a lot of shows that have come out that are miniseries
Yeah.
that but the problem with that is there's probably not as much money in that because those
Yeah.
are all made for television type
Yeah.
things. So you make a miniseries out of it. As a consumer, we enjoy that more maybe, but for them as a business standpoint, I mean, and think about it. What would you do if you have the choice to make 3 long movies and
Mhm.
make a bunch of money off it, or make a 6 miniseries and make less money? You're gonna make them more money. That's a business adventure, and you kind of have to forgive them and allow them that, because they are the ones giving us this product. They are creating this for us. Just because it's not done the way we want it doesn't mean that they shouldn't do it that way, because they have to make the money from it. Whether they actually succeed at it or not, there's definitely a lot more potential for them to make the money as a movie than there is for them to make it as a miniseries.
How do you feel about the Harry Potter series? Because that was a lot of movies.
I've never read any of the Harry Potter books, and I think I've only sat through one of the movies, and I don't even remember it. Couldn't tell you anything about Harry Potter. I am not a Harry Potter fan. Just never caught my interest. I'm sure it's fantastic. I'm not saying it's bad.
I was just wondering because that has a lot of parts. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, that doesn't affect me. I don't care. I don't know one way or the other.
So if they would have sectioned it better, would you have been happier?
With Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
if it would have had
If they didn't,
somewhat of an ending in each of the movies, I would have been content. Like, and I don't know because I never really read the
okay.
book.
So what you're saying is you rather a movie have an ending and not a to be continue.
Correct. But like, I'm fine with a cliffhanger as long as like there's an ending and then it's like, oh, but the bad guy got away, or there's still another thing they have to take care of, or whatever. Like, I'm fine with there being more. But whatever their original intention is, there has to be an overall theme to the movie, and that has to have a completion, a climax, an ending that makes you have to be satisfied with how it all comes together.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
So
What do you think about, like, and here's, you were saying about this angry bull guy, Hunky Bull,
Uwe Boll.
Uwe Bull. Okay, Uwe Bull.
So let me tell you how bad these movies are. So there's a video game called Blood Rain. It's basically about this woman. I think she's a vampire.
Okay.
And he basically takes. Okay, so if you take take one of your favorite video games. Say for example, we did Super Mario Brothers. He'd basically have a movie about 2 brothers that are plumbers, and that might be as far as he goes. With
And he'll call it. Well, hey, they made a Mario Brothers
Yeah.
movie that was basically not Mario Brothers.
he didn't direct it, but that's his level of crap.
Yeah, that was.
Street Fighter 2, the Street Fighter movie. That's another one of his levels of crap that he would have directed
Yeah,
if he had a
Street
chance.
Fighter was another one. It was not.
Well, he takes a lot. He doesn't take like the major. Like he can't get his hands on the major titles, but like
But he takes lower name
Yeah.
titles.
the
and
one
such.
that I give him a pass on is the one for the video game Postal, because literally the game in Postal was you start killing people. So like he kind of couldn't screw that up.
All right. Well, I haven't played, and I don't really play a
Yeah.
lot of video games anyway. So.
Well, it's the game's like super old, but like
I finally sat through. Not sat through. I say it like it was horrible to deal with or contend with. But I watched Assassin's Creed, the movie for Assassin's Creed. But I've never even so much as touched the video game. Like, I know nothing
I
about
tried
the
it.
video game.
I tried it years ago.
What do you think about the video game?
I don't like stealth games. I'm more of a shoot everybody kind of guy.
See, I like stealth.
In case you
games.
forget, when we played Metal Gear Solid in college, I
Yeah.
was horrible with Metal Gear Solid.
See, and I only vaguely remember Metal Gear Solid, but I remember liking it, and that's the kind of games I like. And have you played the Uncharted series?
I
Any
have
of those
not.
ones?
I've watched it played. I'd want to play it.
That's got a good mix of stealth versus what I call going cowboy.
Yeah.
Where they just have to go shoot them all up. So you like cowboy and I like stealth.
Yeah.
But this one actually has a real all of the
Now, one of my favorite games of
Uncharted
all
games.
time is Prince of Persia. It came out in the early '80s, like '88.
that was a video game.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a video game.
Yeah. So
I knew it was a movie.
It came out in '88.
He was in that. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good in that.
Yeah. Then they did another couple games, but then in 2002, they did Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. In the original video game, you were locked in the basement of this like tower. You had an hour to save the princess before she died or like got married to this guy, whatever.
Okay.
You had to fight your way through all these guys, and basically you ran around, you had a sword and whatnot. There was some of puzzle. There were little puzzles, but they weren't the greatest. When Sands of
I
Time,
love puzzles in
Yeah.
the game.
so Sands of Time came out, and in this game, you basically take down this other warring country, and you get the Sands of Time that has this dagger. The dagger controls time and uses the sand from the Sands of Time. Well, basically, your dad, I think, opens the thing because some evil wizard wants him to, and turns everyone into zombies. And you have this dagger that can control time as long as you have the sand. So the sand is turning everyone into zombies, and you and this girl aren't turned into zombies, and the evil whatever. So you're trying to get all the sand back into the hourglass to save everybody.
Okay.
So basically, the cool thing about this was if you were doing a move, you could like rewind, you could like jump over, you could freeze stuff for a certain amount of time. So you could be fighting guys with a sword, and then you could do a rewind. Like if you try to make a jump and you missed, you used some sand, you could rewind the jump, and then start over and try it again.
Oh, that's cool.
And you couldn't really die in the game because really the way they handled that was he was telling the story of how this happened. So if you died, wait, that wasn't how this happened. I think it happened this way. It would start at the next save point. Well, the cool thing was there's all these puzzles. Like in order to open a door, you had to go find a lever to pull. So you had to pull this lever, find out what it opened, go find this key, and you have to go around doing all this stuff.
Match up.
So there's a perfect balance of fighting and puzzles. Then the second and third came out, and they were just garbage, like total garbage. Like the second one came out, it got all extreme. Like your weapons had to had damage, so you could like use a weapon for like 2 turns, and then you had to go get another one or get it fixed. And like the combat was crap. It was like all heavy metal. Like it lost its like charm.
I'd have to play that one.
Yeah.
I want to check that one out.
It's a good game.
Well, like, and I was saying, like, in one of the few games I played, but I love it. And they're supposed to make a movie out of it soon. Is the Uncharted series?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, there was 4 of them, I believe, and 4 that I played.
Yeah, there's 4.
So the third one, I think, was really probably the best one for like as far as like a nice combination between stealth, going cowboy, and puzzle solving.
Yeah.
The first 2 didn't have a whole lot of puzzles in them. I don't recall. The first one was pretty much just a shoot 'em up game. The second one was a lot more puzzles. Was more puzzles, but not great. I can't remember now. It's been a while since
I like
the third
games.
one was definitely the best. The fourth one was really good though.
I like games where you can pick which way you want to do things. Like Fallout, the original Fallout, you can go cowboy, you can do stealth.
So you have those options. I like that too. I think that's really cool because then you kind of play it your own way.
Exactly.
And it makes a game like more universally attractive.
Like there's one game called BioShock where sometimes you could either go cowboy, you could go stealthy, or they had a thing where you could hack stuff. So what I would do is they had these flying like helicopter things that could attack things. So I'd freeze it because you had this ability to freeze stuff. Like you get fire, ice, and all this other stuff.
Okay.
So I'd freeze it, I'd hack the robot. Robot followed me around and started shooting things. So it got to the point where anything mechanical, I'd just freeze it and hack it, and then that way it was on your side. So if I was fighting some guy, I'm like, oh, well, I have all these turrets over here, so if I run over by these turrets, they're going to start shooting at him. I don't have to shoot any ammo. So I like games like that where you can use the environment or manipulate the environment.
Part of my problem with that is I can't have games in the house that the kids can't be around. Like I can't get anything too mature, and I'm pretty lenient on a lot of that stuff. But I can't have like not Fallout. What's the other one? There's another one that they wanted. I can't remember the name of it, but it's one that's a little Borderlands.
Oh yeah.
That's a little more mature than I think
Yeah.
my kids should be around, and that's one that they want to get into. But I don't know enough about them, and I can't really go off so much the ratings with it. And
No.
I let them. They can watch something, or they can like a movie that's a little more mature or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want too much excessive language. I don't want too much of like sexual innuendo, and the violence I'm okay with because my kids are not really like
Yeah,
they're not angry,
you
violent
talking
kids.
for your children all the time.
Well, I sense, that's different. I censor myself accordingly, almost appropriately, mildly. I don't really actually know. I'm terrible with that. I should probably not speak. And I try not to talk to them, and they try not to listen to me. So it works out well. They can't hear me anyways. I talk all day long, and whenever I do tell them stuff, the pitches and tones of my voice don't register into their tiny little childlike brains. So that doesn't matter. I can say whatever I want. They don't hear those things. So, but we got to wrap this one up. I believe it is that time. Thank you for joining us, and make sure you tune in next time for us here at streamofconsciousnesspodcast.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and what's the other one?
Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, website.
And also on our website, streamofconsciousnesspodcast.com.
And tune in next week for the conclusion of cartoons and adults and video games.
To be continued.
Because we got more stuff to say.